what's been your biggest challenge thus far? What can you look back at and say, this was the one hurdle I had to jump? And if you have one, how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with Web3 and blockchain and being a non-developer myself, there's technical hurdles that you have to overcome and try to like really understand things on a technical level and how things work. But I don't even think that's like been the biggest challenge. I think the biggest challenge has been trying to work in a decentralized space and work on behalf of a very large community. You know, I don't know how many people we have in our Discord now, but it has to be upwards of 30,000 or so. And when you're trying to organize and work as like an elected member, so to speak, and a leader of a community, you're dealing with like all of these decentralized voices that have very differing opinions about things. So it can feel like at times that you have 1,000 bosses, but they're not also bosses that provide like top-down leadership. They're just providing like a bunch of opinions. And usually those opinions and things like that, the loudest voices are criticisms. So the biggest challenge, I guess, has been working in a decentralized space, dealing with criticism, and kind of just taking it in and doing the most productive things with that criticism, you know, listening to people, trying to implement where it's needed, and then ignoring it when it's kind of like not needed and just discouraging and just moving forward.
There's nothing like a decentralized environment. I think we can both agree with that.
Yep.
For sure. So let me ask you this. We've talked a lot about your timeline, how you got here, what you've done since you've been here. I always like to ask for a story. So give me something fun. Give me something that you could be a story you've repeated 1,000 times, or maybe you've never told anybody this, but it's a fond memory. It could be anything of your time so far with Secret. What you got for me?
Yeah. I don't know if it's like the funniest story or the most interesting, but it's an interesting piece of like network lore, I would say. So back in 2017, as I mentioned, there was like this core group of us that were very interested and involved in the project. And one day I got this DM from this guy named Moonstache, like out of nowhere. I had barely seen, you know, I saw him in the Telegram chat a couple of times, but I had no clue who this guy was. And he was asking me, you know, how many tokens I held of Enigma and if I was going to run a node, and explaining like, I think this project's going to be big one day, man. Like you should run a node. And like one thing leads to another. Moonstache, who we all know now as Ian, who runs secretnodes.com, aka Node Father. He ends up starting Secret Nodes and kind of bringing me on to run some of the business related forward facing aspects at that time. And then we had the whole SEC settlement with Enigma, which then led to a token swap and the birthing of Secret Network. I had some personal things go on. I had to leave Secret Nodes. I left crypto altogether. I just needed personal time to deal with like family stuff. And months later, I came back. I was a little bit bitter, even though like I was negative and having these arguments and stuff. He helped me start up a node, which I knew nothing about technically at the time, and kind of took me under his wing, tutored me a bit in the technical aspects of running a node, set up Whispernode, which is now, you know, one of the top validators on the network. And really, I bring up this story to illustrate the fact that there's a lot of differing opinions, again, as I mentioned, in the community. And people get very heated and they get very emotional. And it can seem from an outside view that people are at each other's throats. But when it comes to it at the end of the day, what people really care about and why they're so passionate and why they get so spun up is because they really care about Secret Network and making it a successful project. So
Well, we've talked about your background. We talked about you getting and sort of not sort of, but basically just beginning the secret agent program. What are your goals moving forward in terms of the secret agent program? What would you like to see the program do? Where would you like to see it go? I mean, what do you see for yourself in the future with the network?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one.
It's a big one, right?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we need to make Secret top 20 project. That's the end goal. And I think the secret agency is a big piece of the puzzle to achieving that. Networks in Web3, they typically grow with network effects and community. Like that is the root of all success in Web3, in my opinion, is the strength of the community equals the strength of the project. And if we can embolden and empower our community using the secret agency as like a platform to provide people with opportunities, I think that's going to go a huge, it's going to go a long way in achieving that goal. So, my goal is first and foremost that, and then secondly, like to again almost become irrelevant, to put myself out of a job. Like foster an environment where new agents and new fresh ideas are coming in and people feel so empowered that they can just step right in and become leaders. And that's how decentralized spaces grow and scale.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think that's very, very well said. Well, give the audience something here, and I don't want to say sell the program, but give folks watching this who maybe have never joined the secret agency, have seen us from a distance, or maybe never even heard of us before. Why should everyone watching this become a secret agent? In your words, what do you think?
Yeah. So I'm going to start by maybe addressing like a misconception about the secret agent program, because it's been listed on some of those bigger websites where, people can maybe like do a little bit of work or send a few tweets and earn money for doing so. So there's still a little bit of like an educational problem when it comes to the secret agent program. It's not just that, even though that aspect of it happens to be sometimes a very visible one. What you don't see is all the stuff going on behind the scenes. And that is what like really needs to be sold about this program. As I mentioned, like there's so many ways to contribute to Secret Network as a secret agent. We have all kinds of working groups set up. We're really trying to push that messaging that you can step in, get involved, and take on leadership. Like some examples are like contributing to design, translating content, making videos, making educational infographics, organizing local meetups and events, like you said, attending local meetups and events, attending conferences in your area, creating social media strategies, helping us with this secret agent program, gamifying it and making it more engaging and things like that. And one thing I'm really excited about in particular is or creating a list of university blockchain clubs and like doing outreach with universities across the world to educate students and give presentations about privacy and secret network and blockchain. So there's so many ways to get involved, and that's what we really need to stress. It's a great way to gain experience with Web3, to add to your resume. You can earn rewards, you can earn part-time salaries doing so in some cases, and really just create like really meaningful friendships, connections, and even potentially like land a full-time job in a leadership role or with an application that's building on the network.
Valid points. I mean, look how far you've come.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I hear stories like that all the time. That you start on one level and time just flies, and you do a lot of work, and next thing you know, you're getting rewarded, and you see something that you're building grow into what it is today. I think it's a great story.
Yep.
Brandon, I can't thank you enough for joining me here today. But before we get out of here, is there anything you'd like to leave the audience with? Like, where can they find you on social media? If you've got a handle you'd like to share, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I mainly operate these days from the validator account. I've kind of put the personal account to the side. So on Twitter, it's at Whispernode. And other than that, you can find me hanging out in the Secret Network Discord pretty much all the time. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to hit me up.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, thanks again, man. Good to see you. And thanks for taking the time today.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, kids. That's Brendan from Whispernode. If that story doesn't inspire you, I don't know what will. Okay. That's going to do it for us today. Speaking of inspiration, if this episode has indeed inspired you, please come join our community of secret agents and get started on your own mission. Agents collaborate on important projects, get access to secret events, and earn unique rewards. What have we been talking about? You've been paying attention? NFTs, secret swag. And they do all of that while helping us defend the privacy of the decentralized web. Visit us online at scrt.network/agents to join the Secret Agent program and get started on your journey today. As always, follow Secret Network's social media channels to stay updated on the latest news and announcements in the ecosystem. And we'll see you next time on the Secret Agent Showcase.